Hi, my name is Patty. Welcome to my channel. This is my lifelong weight loss journey channel, and I'm going to discuss how finally in my life at 66, I am finally healthier than I've ever been, feel good in my body, not a weight that I haven't been for over 50 years, more than 50 years. It started when I was young, you'll be the chunky, and then things just kept going, and life, and so I'm going to talk about all the different things I've tried, the different, I had surgery, and now for the since January 14th of 2025, I have been on a GLP1. And it's the first thing in my life, even after having gastric bypass, that has stopped me from wanting, even because I used to say to people, oh, I can't have chips in the house, or even like if there's any kind of chocolate, it would just like keep calling me. Even if I wasn't hungry, I would just have to get up and go walk by where I know they were. And of course, you have to grab, they'd be them little candy bars or something, and you just got to go by and grab one. Well, not just one, you might grab a couple because oh, the serving size for this is, the calories, because I'm sure all of you do that too. We know the calories, the count, because I tracked everything for so many years. I've been tracking everything in MyFitnessPal. So the calorie count, what you want, where it's going to be. It was a lifelong thing. And no matter what I did, even gastric bypass, very, very slow. Doctor would accuse me of, oh, you're not working hard enough. I'm not, when you get on that, you're like lucky if you're having 500-600 calories a day and you're working out, doing the treadmill, doing walking, doing weightlifting, riding the recumbent bike. And I'm sorry, I did not lose. Yes, when I had the surgery, I was 350 pounds and I should have been losing fast. But no. It took, and the majority of my weight, of course, was in my stomach. When I sat down, my stomach touched the end of my knees. So it was like, okay, try to hold your child and stuff when that's on. That, you just feel bad because so they're sitting up on your stomach like it's a big pillow for them, But there's so many things you just couldn't even do with your kids that you wanted, getting down on the floor and then trying to get back up. That, if you're going to get down, you better have a plan of something nearby that you're going to be able to grab to get back up. Now I have no problem. But it took a year. From 350 to 127, it took from like June 28th of 1 year of 2002 until January 14th of 2004. And at that time then, I had only lost the 127 pounds. And from being 350, it certainly should have. And I was following the diet. I was doing everything. But now I know, because of things that we've learned once about the GLP1, that it wasn't our fault. But of course, you're cute and you blame yourself. You're like, what more can I do? Starve? I'm eating nothing? Because that's what you felt like. And even then, we were practically eating nothing then, and it still wasn't. And so, at that point, then I had a paniculectomy, because I had 3 abdominal hernias with a very large stomach like that, and losing 127 pounds, where the majority of it was in the stomach. It was pulling down and caused 2 volleyball size hernias and one softball size. And then I also had a softball size mass. They called it a necrotic mass when they went in there that it was like a lump of fat that had died, and it had, and it would never go away. And they removed that. But they removed 23 pounds of skin, which got me to the 199 pounds. Oh, okay. And I was able to stay there for a while, for years. And then, of course, the change of life came. And I gained, over the years, like 25 pounds, and it would sit in that, at 225, and I wanted to lose more. I needed to lose more, but it just wasn't going to happen. And then I had to go on prednisone for 3 weeks because of a problem. And that added, I was eating the exact same thing because I ate the same thing every day after day after day. In 3 weeks' time, I gained 25 pounds. Sure, went on, tried to get fast, but man, did that not want to have to go off. So then a few years after that, it just sat there, and then my brother and I started a diet, and we started going to the gym every day, watching, and, we were very strict on what we were doing, but we were going to the gym like 6 days a week, and we were working out for over an hour and something, plus we had a pool. I was in Florida at the time, and so we went in our pool every day, and we'd walk in there and swim and spend an hour or more a day in there also. And he, of course, a man, I'm sure you women know that. He lost really fast. I lost that 50 pounds, got back down, got to Wonderland for a few days. Then it went back up to like 205 eventually, and then sat there for years. And until, different things, different things happened. Different places I moved, kept trying, and it just wouldn't work again. Didn't matter if we were swimming hours a day, treading water in the middle of the deep pool. It didn't matter what I was doing, or the gym. And after a while, you just, maintain. And so then in 2023, so hard to say that, beginning of April, I was living in North Dakota, Fargo, and I fell on ice on my knee. Yeah. Oh, busted my kneecap into 3 places. Couldn't move the leg. The leg wouldn't move. It had disconnected from above and below, so no matter how much I tried to get it to move, it wasn't gonna. They needed to do surgery. Went in and had surgery, then went home 5 days later. Had to do a shot in the stomach every day for 30 days to make sure that I didn't get blood clots. I was in a brace from my upper thigh to just above the ankle bone. Could not bend that leg. Luckily, my couch had a chase on the end so that I could sit there like that, and then I had a thing where I had to lift it. It was, I can't think of the name of it, but anyway, I could not, for 6 weeks, could not bend that knee. And then they finally started where I could, got to where I could walk on it, because I couldn't, but you learn to walk with that thing, and had a walker so that, with a tray on it, so like you could go get your water, but my daughter's an RN, and so, it's really embarrassing, because of course the way my bathtub was in my apartment, because I had to keep that leg out of the water, and I would have to get in the other way, so I had to go backwards, and she had bought me a seat thing to be in the shower, so we had to have it backwards, and I had to have my daughter come in there. My son-in-law had switched out the thing and got me a hand thing once, so then like she could get it down to me, but she'd wash my hair and back and stuff. And you know, it's embarrassing to have your child have to help you. I did not like that. And that made me think, you know what? Once I get past this and I'm able to walk on that leg again, and I gotta do something. I gotta find something to do, because I don't want to be, you know, like you see those shows, and I don't want to be having to have, I want my independence, and I don't want to have somebody coming and doing those things for me. That's embarrassing. I'm in my 60s. I still want to be able to take care of myself. I have been, you know, and so then, you know, they did it so then for a couple weeks I could bend it a little bit, and then finally, so it went from April till mid-July, finally got it off, and I then did physical therapy to, you know, start being able to walk on it and have bending the knee and everything. And so then I decided that once I got done with that, I wanted to move to Arizona. I had been down here in like 2020. I'm in Yuma, Arizona, and I liked it. And a whole group of us, both my brothers and a cousin and a bunch of other friends, we all had, you know, RV trailers type things and stuff. And so we were there, and the one brother and I, we were there year round. And you know, then everybody all of a sudden, you know, the park got new owners and things happened and everybody dispersed. And so then I ended up being the last one down here. And that's when I decided to go back to Fargo near my children. And so I did that. But I decided after having the knee thing that, I became too scared to leave the house. When winter came, I did not, if there was any chance of there being any black ice, regular ice, so I, you know, got delivery of everything. I did not, for so many months, I did not leave. My kids came to me. I had such anxiety and was so afraid to leave that I was going to fall and bust it again. And that's a scary thing, you know. I don't want to have another broken bone or, you know, any of that. And so once I got all healed and everything got taken care of, in November of 2024, I bought a place here, a regular trailer house, not an RV one, and in a different park, and moved down here. And I like my independence. And then my daughter had started taking the GLP1 semaglutide, or semaglutide, however you say it. I've heard semaglutide, so that's how I say it. But neither our insurance, because I was on Medicare, doesn't cover it, and could not afford the cost, thousands of dollars a month. And she had people she knew, they got the powder through the gray market. I was willing to take it. She started taking it, and then she got for me and sent it to me, and so then told me how to take it. So I started injecting myself on January 14th of 2025. And at that day, I weighed 226 pounds. I was lucky. I haven't had any side effects. Well, I had the constipation. That was not on semaglutide, but I was lucky, didn't have any, and I was slow, but it did take that noise out of my head. Things could be in the house, and when I did try a chip, they didn't even taste good anymore. Things that were so great, the type of chocolate you liked, and it doesn't even have that taste anymore, that, you know. But I was losing slowly, and then I went back up north to help out my daughter. She was working all these nights, and my son-in-law was working days, and he's a type 1 diabetic, and she wanted me to come there and stay with them and to help take care of the dogs and do some cooking for him because she wasn't really a cook. So, and get him healthy and things going and help her out. So I went back up, closed up my house here for a while, and I went back up there. And at that time, shortly after, I went up there in August of 2025. And then we got in there, and I was still taking the meds. She wasn't taking it so much because she really had the constipation and the stomach problems, but it had helped her lose. And then so when I went to my doctor that I'd had up there, I went to see her in October, and she was like, oh my goodness. At that point, in October, I was down to 195. And she's like, well, you've lost close to 30 pounds since you've been here. That's good. It's good and slow. And my numbers were good. Keep on. And so then in November, I went through a telehealth company, and I got compound tirzepatide. And I started taking that, and I didn't have any. It worked good. I have no problem injecting myself. It went good. And I was so amazed. Even more of the noise. Your head becomes so much clearer, and so much of the noise was gone. And but when I got on the tirzepatide, the fat started going. The weight was still slow. The normal, what it should be, which is good, like a pound and a half. But the inches were going, and I didn't really notice at first. But then I started like November 14th, Thanksgiving. Well, I got myself some jeans, and they were like a size 20, 18. They were from a secondhand place. And I wore them to my son's house for Thanksgiving, and they were actually loose. This is something that never happened, and I didn't like wearing jeans. I hadn't for many years, because trying to find some that fit, because still had thick waist. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, then a month later at Christmas, I'm like, well, I had got a 16. And felt good, and by the end of the night, they were falling off. So I'm like, okay, I wore them once or twice. I ordered a 14, got them, and, they were, by Easter, I was in a 12, which is, I never in my life was able to fit into a size 12 jean. I mean, you get them, and I'm like, okay, these are this small. I'm gonna fit my big ass body, sorry for that, but into them. And I put them on, and they came up over, and I didn't have to lay down or try to suck in or anything. They fit, and they were comfortable. Like, wow. And when I went to see my doctor, she wanted me to come back in April. And so I went there the day after Thanksgiving or Easter. And she's like, oh my goodness, because I was at 170 pounds. So I had lost another, since I had seen her like at 190, I had lost that much. But the body was so different. Things that I thought, I'm like, yeah, I've got a lot of skin hanging, and if that skin was gone, my thighs are tiny. If that was all gone, I'm like, that ain't me. When I see myself, I hated to look at myself or have a picture taken. did not want to look at myself in the mirror, or you'd walk by. And now when I go, I'm like, sometimes you have to double take. But it's continued, and now I did come back after Thanksgiving, or I came back down to my house in Yuma. I said, no, I need to go back now. They're doing good. And she got a different job where she wasn't driving an hour each way to work, wasn't having to do overnights, days, and now she's just, a few miles from home, and she can work from home a lot, do all her paperwork from home and stuff. So the dogs like that, they don't have to be kenneled. And so I came back down in May, down to my place here in Yuma, and I'm here, and I just want to sit and share some of these things with you guys, and we can talk about different things that we've learned, and I can, sometimes I've put out 1 or 2 of these a week, if you'd like to come and join me, and I can tell you about having gastric bypass, other surgeries that I've had. I actually had gastric bypass twice. First one was 1989, and it was a fail. I fell, but the staple line, because this was like the beginning of when they were doing it, and they weren't doing it correct, and it was RNY, yeah. So and that was an open, and then, but it did do something for me, because they'd always told me I'd never be able to have kids, and then I was able to have 2 children. But, so we could talk about all that later. I hope that you would like to come back and join me in reminiscing, and we can talk. You can add comments, questions, if you have questions about anything that I can, the different diets I've tried over the years and how it worked for me, because I think I've done everything out there. I mean, in the late 80s, Susan Powder. I mean, in the late 70s, early 80s, it was Richard Simmons, the Deal Meal, and his Walk Away the Pounds, and Susan Powder's Stop the Insanity, and Weight Watchers, Tops, you name it. Nutrisystem, some other one where it was very similar to like that liquid that Oprah did way back in the 80s when she lost all that weight, where it was all you were living on was these shakes. But I don't want to ramble anymore, so thank you for letting me talk to you today, and I hope that you'd like to join me, and see you again. Bye.